Good afternoon. The time is 12:08. I'm giving you a call. There was no answer. I guess you're sleeping. So I'm going to call your sister. Phone at the hospital. So I said, okay. And then Billy went. I'm not going to go today. I'm here alone. Okay. So maybe this afternoon you can give me a call. Maybe we'll be in touch this afternoon. Okay? I love you.
Love you, Dad.
And this message is left through Sorensen Interpreter 1.
All right, that was the voices of Harold, featuring some interpreter who I have no idea, never heard of before. She was pretty clear, but still, the message is confusing. All right, let's go for a ride. Hal and Philly, take it away.
Smoke so much I can smell my own breath. My baby left me, my best friend's not at home. Can't get that woman off my mind. I've never been the brooding kind, but there's still one thing makes me come alive. Yeah, I'm gone for a drive.
The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Yes, here I am in my bedroom, in my house, at home, on vacation. That's something I've never done before. Thank you, Alex Exum. That's good. Sounds like everybody's ready to dumb it down. Thank you, Alex Exum. Thank you, Hal and Philly, with that great song, Going for a Drive. That's fantastic. All right, guys. So I thanked everybody I need to thank. It is August 2nd. It is 11:10 p.m. I'm in my bedroom. And I have a half-hour podcast I have to do before I go to bed. So I'm just going to get to it real quickly. I'm on vacation. I had a great, so far, day and a half so far vacation. Got home Saturday morning. Whatever. I forgot what I did yesterday. I know I went to sleep. That's what I did. Got about 3 hours of sleep. Woke up. Had a little bit of an evening. I had a family here, one family member. And then I went back to bed and I got 6 hours of sleep. And then I woke up really early this morning and went for a walk. Yeah, 7 o'clock in the morning. I went for a walk around the Saugerties Reservoir, my old stomping grounds from when I used to do half marathons and stuff like that. And I walked 4.63 miles, something like that. Yeah, one lap around the reservoir. It was a beautiful early morning walk. And then I came back to the house and, of course I did some stretching and all that other stuff. Came back to the house and then my family member that visited and my wife, the three of us, we went for a walk at the school. We walked around the track and I did another 1.3 miles. So basically for the day I did 6 miles of walking. And I really could have done an afternoon walk or I was supposed to mow my lawn, but then it rained and then I had more family members to come up. It was a whole thing. So there was a lot of Brooklyn in my house today. A lot of Brooklyn. Too much Brooklyn in my house today. But they're all gone except for one, and I can handle the one for the next couple of days. And we're going to have a good time. So listen, I just want to get to it. I want to get to it right away. I don't really have anything on the agenda. Let me just quickly tell you this, is that I've also been doing some intermittent fasting. And since last week, which was July something, my wife went last Monday. Can I exercise this? Yes, I can. Let's see. Because it's been, it doesn't matter. But in the last 7 days, I've basically lost 12 pounds from intermittent fasting. So I started at 296, and I'm now down to whatever it is, 284 this morning, something like that. So, yeah, I'm down like 11, 12 pounds. Of course, I'm not as exact as I should be. But when did I start this? I started this July 27th, and now it's the 2nd. So, yeah, 1 week, 7 days, and I've lost like 11, 12 pounds. So that feels really good. All right, and so intermittent fasting is basically you fast for a long period of time. You could fast any amount of time you want, but I'm fasting 16 hours a day. Actually, sometimes I do 17 hours if I can. I'm trying to fast as much as possible. And then I eat within a certain window. There's a certain window of time. So if you fast for 16 hours, then you eat for 8 hours. You can't eat outside that 8 hours. So you eat immediately. So that basically, let's say 6 o'clock I eat, right? 6 o'clock p.m. because I work nights. So 6 p.m. I eat, and then I can eat all the way to 2 a.m. That's an 8-hour window. I'm allowed to eat for 8 hours. And then I stop eating. I don't eat anything. I can have water. You can have tea. You can't have You can have black coffee, but you can't have coffee with cream and sugar and stuff like that. So let's say I start eating at 6 p.m. and then since I work nights, I stop eating at 2 a.m. Then I have to give myself 16 hours. So 12 hours from 2 a.m. is 2 p.m. And most of the time I'm sleeping. So that's what you want to do. You want to set up the fast so you're sleeping during most of the fast time. And then I wake up, so 2 a.m. is the end of the eating. That's 8 hours. Then I have to fast for 16 hours. So 12 hours would be 2 p.m. 4 more hours would be 6 p.m. So there you go. So I get in the car, let's say 5 or 6 p.m. And then I eat at some point, either in the car on the way to work. If I'm not doing a podcast, obviously I can't eat and do a podcast. And then, but I can have a tea. I can have anything I want while I'm driving. And then, but if I'm not driving, then I can eat at 6 p.m. It doesn't matter. I can start eating at 6 p.m. and the whole cycle continues, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. But you can adjust the times to anything you want. And also, what I ended up doing is I ended up eating at 6 p.m. and then I would be done by midnight. So I would eat for 6 hours and then I would fast for like 18 hours. Or 17 hours, whatever. You could move the clock around as much as you want. So I just wanted to give you a little insight as to what I've been doing, and so far so good. So I hope to lose a lot more weight during this vacation. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to exercise. So yesterday I walked twice. I was supposed to do something else in the afternoon, like mow the lawn, or because it rained, and then I didn't want to cut the grass early in the day because the grass was dry and crispy. So I didn't do that. So anyway, I waited. It rained a lot, and then I'm supposed to have some nice weather today. And then I guess we got that hurricane coming up the coast or whatever that is. So I might cut the grass before that. I might cut the grass after that. It doesn't really matter. But every day I'm going to try to do, 2 things of exercise, one in the AM, one in the PM. All right, so that's it. Just walking. I did very little running. Very little. I'm definitely not at running strength yet. All right, so let's listen. I'm going to go way, way back. Way, way back. We're going to do some listeners' comments. We got to do some listeners' comments. I haven't done them in a long, long time. I might do a few shows like this in a row just to catch up. I don't even know where I left off. Usually I would do a bonus episode, right? I would do a bonus episode and I would read the listeners' comments during the bonus episodes. And I don't even know how far back I went. And it's been so long. The problem with doing bonus episodes and doing listeners' comments, really, bonus episodes are not the hard part. The hard part is doing listeners' comments. If I don't know what the show's about, and then I'm doing the comments, I don't remember. I don't remember really every show after it's done. It's out of my mind. So I only can go so far back. But I do remember this particular show. So let's see if I could pick out the listener reviews. The listeners' comments, by the way. Oh, so real quickly about listeners' comments. Let me see if I can do this real quickly. I'm going to pause. I don't want to waste time. Hold on. All right, there you go. No fumbling around today. I want to get as much in as I can. So, listen, if you have something to say about this episode or any episode, you want to leave a comment, a nice, polite comment, call the Dumbing It Down with Dave hotline. You can do that now. You can call the Dumbing It Dave hotline. We call it the Dumbline, and you can call it basically for free. It's the same charge as any other call. So it's not an 800 number. It's 3477-I-AM-DUMB. 3477-I-AM-DUMB. The letter I, the letter M, dumb. 3477-I-AM-DUMB. Or the numbers, if you like numbers better, it's 347-746-3862. 347-746-3862. Keep it under 60 seconds if you can with clean language, and maybe I'll play it on the next show. If you don't have a clean message, most likely I'm not going to play it. So one F-bomb, one S-word, C-word, P-word, whatever, N-word, anything like that, and I'm not going to play it. I just want to let you know. But I appreciate, you can still leave me a voicemail. If you just want to leave me a voicemail, and you don't want me to play it, then all you got to do is curse, and I won't play it. So there you go. And that's it. I appreciate that. Don't forget, you can tweet me at Dumb with Dave, at Dumb with Dave, or you can email me at dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. You can also go to my website, dumbingitdownwithdave.com, dumbingitdownwithdave.com, davecanyon.com, and there's also a contact form on there. It works. You can send me a nice message through the contact form. So a lot of ways to get in touch with me, and they're all good ways. I pay attention to them all. And also, don't forget the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group. Definitely check out the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group. What is it called? It's called the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group. So there you go. A lot of ways to contact me. You don't have to leave a message in the Spreaker box. So many of you are not listening on Spreaker. So that's why I created that voicemail, 3477, I am dumb. And also, you could do the other thing with the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group. But some of you are not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. So then you can contact me on Twitter. Some of you aren't on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram, by the way. Dumbing It Down with Dave is also on Instagram. I think at Dumb with Dave or at Dumbing It Down with Dave. But if you go on Instagram, you'll find out. Oh, I want to share something with you real quickly before we get to listeners' comments. So there is something I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm going to call this show, even though it's listeners' comments, I'm going to call this particular show, give me 1 second. It's going to be one of two cities. I'm going to call the show Hello, Washington, Virginia. Hello, Washington, Virginia. I would have called it a couple of weeks ago, Hello, Adelaide, Australia. But I might do that next show, because these are all just listener comment shows. But for some reason, in the last week, Washington, Virginia, my listenership went up to 37.9%. 37, that's more than a third of my audience. My downloads, I'm not even sure really what this number represents, to tell you the truth. But it's on my Spreaker statistics page. And it says here, downloads or geolocation. No, it's not downloads, it's geolocation. So 37.9% of my audience somehow is in Washington, Virginia. And they're about 60 miles or so. I forget what they are. 60 some odd miles to the west of Washington, D.C. So thank you, whoever you are in Washington, Virginia. Thank you for listening. I would love for you in Washington, Virginia, to say hello. And let's explore this mystery and solve it. Who is in Washington, Virginia, listening to me, creating this 37.9%? I'll give you an idea. So 92.8% of my audience is in the United States. So basically my entire audience. And then it goes down the list. I did this once before. The Philippines, I got 3% of my audience. Canada, 1%. United Kingdom, I actually got 0.6%. It goes down and on and on. So in the United States, out of the 92.86% that are listening in the United States, 37.9% are in Washington, Virginia. That's an absurd amount. Because what happens is after Washington, Virginia, the next city and state is Nashua, New Hampshire. I'm guessing that's Joe Foley from the No Sitting on the Sidelines dad. But he's at 6.75%. So thank you, Joe. I think that's you in Nashua. And then, of course, me in Saugerties. And then Akron, Ohio. I'm not sure who's in Akron, Ohio. But I'm assuming that's my buddy Matt Neff. And then it goes down to Santa Cruz, Philippines. And then it goes down to Norristown, Pennsylvania, which we figured out it was Hal Aaron. Hal Philly is 2.38% of my audience. And then somebody's listening in Springfield, Virginia. And what else is there? Then there's Brooklyn, New York. Guilford, Maine. Hey, who are you in Guilford, Maine? Thank you for listening in Guilford, Maine. And then Taylorville, Illinois. Thank you for listening in Taylorville, Illinois. And up until about a week or so ago, Adelaide, Australia was a big part of my audience. Thank you, Adelaide. And then, of course, I don't pay enough for this whatever account I have with Spreaker. So they have other as 36.11%. I really want to know what that other is, but I'm not upgrading my my account to the next account. So anyway, so that's it. Thank you, Washington, Virginia. Thank you, all of you that listen. Nashua, New Hampshire, Akron, Ohio, Norristown, Pennsylvania, Springfield, Virginia, Brooklyn, New York, Guilford, Maine, Taylor, Illinois, and anywhere you are in the world, and all those other countries. Thank you so much for listening. But please, it's really great if you just reach out through all those methods I mentioned: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, also known as IG, the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group, or my numbers, the Dumbline, 3477 I am dumb. And just leave me a nice voicemail. That'd be really great. I'll play it on the show if you keep it clean. You can keep it quick, 10 seconds. Hi, this is Sven. I'm listening in, Switzerland. I enjoy your show. I'm listening right now. I'm at the mountaintop, ready to yodel. Whatever. All right, so let's do that. Also, I haven't mentioned this in a long time. You can leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. I presently have 19 ratings. Every one of them a 5-star. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your 5-star ratings. Let me just read you a couple of reviews. One of the last reviews was March 8th. That was from Ed Saves the World. Thank you, Ed. Ed Saves the World. Ed wrote, Dave's the man. Dave is a great host, and he talks about things that are interesting. Check it out. There you go. Nice and sweet. All right? Dave's the man. Thank you, Ed. Ed Saves the World. Not doing his podcast anymore, but hopefully he'll find what he's looking for. He's looking for a crew. He's looking for, to be part of a team. Okay. Look at this. Tuned back in. This is from Funny Man Boomer. Funny Man Boomer, January 22nd, 2020. His review is, 5-star rating. His review is, hey, this is fun. No, this is a fun, informative, and entertaining podcast. I just listened to episodes 189, 190, and 191, the latest one to drop. Dave's showmanship has always been great, and it's good to hear that it's still growing and evolving. Definitely worth subscribing to and listening when you can. Each episode is 30 minutes, so downloads are fast and great for the commute or at your desk. Well, thank you, Funny Man Boomer. I appreciate that 5-star rating and review. Let's do one last one, and then we'll get into the listeners' comments. But I have 16 of them, so I'm going to read 3 this week, and the next show I'll read 3 more. Hal in Philly, August 23rd, 2019, right after we met at Podcast Movement 2019. By the way, Podcast Movement 2020, if anybody's concerned, they canceled it. It's now going to be a virtual event. And also, anybody who has an entry to Podcast Movement 19, I guess they're going to slide it over. To Podcast Movement 20, they're going to slide it over to Podcast Movement 2021, which is, I guess, going to be in Nashville, Tennessee or something. That's going to be exciting. I really want to go to Dallas. I really did. And now I really want to go to Nashville, Tennessee. I hope we get rid of this COVID. I hope we figure out something. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about the COVID. So Hal in Philly says, hooked from the start. Wow, Hal. It was hooked from the start, like love at first sight. I met Dave recently at Podcast Movement 19 in Orlando, Florida. Out of 3,000 podcasters, that's pretty good. Out of 3,000 podcasters, I somehow connected with this guy. Actually, he wrote wit. Maybe that's a Philadelphia thing. With this guy. His sense of humor is spot on, and his personality is as big as he is. And trust me, he's a big guy. Hey, that's kind of like a backhanded compliment, Hal. That's okay, I'll take it. So I checked out this podcast on my way back to the airport to return my rental car. A little bit of TMI, but that's okay, Hal. I like you telling the story. And ended up downloading a few episodes for the flight home. As I write this, I'm still catching up and laughing a lot. All right, there you go. So that's 3 of the latest 5-star ratings and reviews. And I'll read a little bit more in the next episode. So thank you, Hal in Philly. Thank you, Funny Man Boomer. And thank you, Ed Saves the World. I appreciate all those 5-star ratings and reviews. All right, so let's get to it. What show am I going to start with? I'm going to start with this one here. Let me see. There's so many. Let me see. I had it picked out. All right, let's go back to episode 217. I know it's way, way back now, but I haven't done listeners' comments in a long time. So let's go back to episode 217, a different kind of pandemic. I haven't done listeners' comments in a long time. It's shame on me. I should be doing at least one a week, one every other week. So anyway, by the way, this episode got 58 downloads. I guess that's a lot for me. I'm seeing it here on my laptop, so I'm just going to tell you how many downloads they got for whatever reason. I don't know why. All right. Number 217. And, let me just tell you what it was about to remind you. A different kind of pandemic. In this episode, Dave reads Rob Greenlee's post on Facebook about the current COVID-19 pandemic. Dave responds with his take by discussing the pandemic he feels we've been living with for the last half a century. All right, there you go. Let's see. I don't know if I remember exactly what this was about, but I have a guess that I have an idea that we've been dealing with a pandemic of malaise and bad nutrition and a lot of things in the last 50 years. So, actually, Patrick Mason on this episode wrote, it's Saturday night, it's 10:13 p.m., and it's time to get my dumb on. He wrote a couple of other things that I don't know what they're referring to. Patrick Mason writes, liberalism is a mental disorder. That's right. He's written that a couple times on the show. He likes to write that. I can't agree with that. I don't know if it's a mental disorder. I don't disagree with it. I just don't agree with it enough. But it's definitely worth discussing. I think anything to the extreme is a mental disorder. And then you have to really clarify what a mental disorder is. I'm not even sure if I know what that is. Mind Drippings says, hi, Dave. All right. I haven't heard from Mind Drippings, I think, ever. So interesting to see who that is. Patrick Maruki writes, middle of the road, I believe, is the best way, especially when it comes to governing. All right. Good job, Patrick. Patrick also says, Patrick Maruki, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We need a dumbing it down TED Talk or a TEDx Talk. All right, Patrick, sounds great. I don't know how to make that happen. I'm pretty sure that it's not going to happen. I've seen those TED Talkers, and I don't see me in any of those TED Talkers. Those guys are usually very brilliant. I'm definitely not brilliant. So, but thank you. That's a nice compliment. Patrick Maruki also wrote, people turn to addictive things, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, etc., as a form of escapism. My opinion. No, I think that's true. Linda Irwin writes, hello, Emma. I must have used Emma as an AI voice. Linda Irwin wrote, I am busy following the incredible increase of content created by people stuck at home with nothing else to do. Wow. Okay, there you go, Linda. My daily power shakes use evaporated and 2% milk. Wow, excellent. I didn't know she drank power shakes. Linda Irwin also wrote, since the only places we ever went were the grocery stores, pharmacy, and gas station to begin with, very occasionally the post office, we are not missing going anyplace. And if anything, terrifying to have to limit our trips to town. Wearing a mask which does not want to stay put and knocks my glasses off. Not touch my face, right? And discover that I cannot get everything I need in a single store trip because they are out of stock. By the way, this post was 4 months ago. This episode, the date of this episode, is there a date? It doesn't give me a date. It just says 4 months ago. 4 months ago, I did the show and these comments were written. So that's interesting that she wrote that. Using our stimulus check to donate to No Kid Hungry, Heartland Hunger, and Restaurant Employees Relief Fund, and others. Wow, that's awesome. I kept my checks, totally. Linda Irwin writes, I've been staying on top of the news, not just here in the United States, but all over the world via YouTube. Linda Irwin also writes, presentable but comfortable is my manner of dress. No need for suits or cocktail dresses when you are retired and a hermit. There you go. Linda Irwin also wrote, I do not eat junk food or fried food. She also wrote, I do not drink alcohol or soda. I do not do drugs, recreational, prescription. I have no piercings or tattoos. And then she wrote, I smoke cigarettes, though. It's my only vice. And by the way, every time I say a person's name and what they wrote, because they post, every time they post, I read that post. I don't make it one whole paragraph. So she posts many times during the show. As she's listening to the show, she posts. And so thank you, Linda Irwin. How Aaron wrote one post here, my eating habits have improved since my bout with cancer. You are right about the food. Stay away from the boxed crap in the center of the store. Try to gravitate towards the fresh fruits, vegetables, meat and dairy around the market's perimeters. Learn to cook stuff from scratch as much as possible and cut back drastically on salt, sugar, fat, and carbs. Amen, Hal. Don't try to go cold turkey, though. No need to punish yourself. All things in moderation. Absolutely true, Hal, Aaron. Hal in Philly. I like to say 0.001 at a time. And Ed Nightoff from Ed Saves the World says, Dave saves the world, eh? Question mark. Ha ha. Well, yeah, I have talked about doing a Dave Saves the World thing since like episode 70 or 80, way back. So there you go. That was a different kind of pandemic, episode 217. And let me see if it lets me, do I have to scroll all the way down? Yeah, I do. Okay, the next episode was So My Mom Died. So My Mom Died, episode 218. I love that title. So My Mom Died. 69 downloads. Not bad, I guess. I don't know. In this episode, Dave shares his pragmatic thoughts on his mom's death. All right, there you go. That's pretty much what I do. That's pretty much what I did. All right, let's start with the first comment here. I wrote, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please tune into part 2. All right, Patrick Mason wrote, it's Saturday, 10:26. Time to get my dumb on. Let me see. Sorry to hear about your mom. That's also from Patrick Mason. Patrick Mason wrote, love Dave Ramsey. Patrick Mason said, I'm the graduate of Dave Ramsey Financial Institution. I'm pretty sure we were talking about being prepared or something like that. Linda Irwin wrote, even when you're expecting it, it's still a shock. Condolences. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. Linda Irwin wrote, at least you no longer have to try and decipher what the speedy Russian nurse tells you. Yes, I want to tell you, that's a big relief. And that's part of my, I guess, callousness towards my mom dying is that it was such relief that now I don't have to deal with any of that. Yeah, I mean, that's what you do for your parents, right? But it was a lot. And I've been doing it for 56 years. And I'm glad to be done with it. And I know I'm not the only coder, which, by the way, Children of Deaf Adults, CODA. I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. There are hundreds, if not thousands of us that feel the same way. And I'm sure there's a lot of non-coded children that feel the same way. Listen, I was there. I went down and I helped out. But she is right. At least I no longer have to try to decipher what the speedy Russian nurse tells me. Linda Irwin also wrote, 17 years ago when my dad crossed, he did not leave a will. He was in communication with me from the other side, directing me on what he wanted done. As an only child, I was the administrator. I think it went pretty flawlessly, even though it was a time-consuming affair. It was a learning experience which I've been able to pass information on to others after me going through this and not sure how to handle things. Great job, Linda. Sorry about your dad, but 17 years ago. Yeah, I can imagine that was tough. Alex Exum wrote, Dave, I am so sorry. Call me if you need anything, my friend. I will be playing Saxon, Princess of the Night, in honor of your mother on my next show. Keep your spirits up, my man. I know how hard this must be. Yep, there you go. Thank you, Alex. And he did do that, and I appreciate that. All right, so since I got to... All right, yeah, every time I got to hit the backspace here on the Spreaker page, I got to pause the recording because otherwise it doesn't make it easy to do a back thing here on Spreaker. All right. So the next episode was My Mom Died. I think I used a semicolon. Should I read it in colon? Anybody knows good grammar, let me know. I wrote My Mom Died, and then it's that period and the comma. So what? ? This time it's personal. Or, well, yeah, so what? So what? So what? Yeah, something like that. So anyway, 68 downloads. In this episode, Dave follows up on the previous episode and discusses his mom's death. But unlike the first one, he now speaks about it personally instead of pragmatically. He reveals for the first time in this show how he lost his innocence during his teen years, how damaging it was, and how further damaging it was to keep it a secret. Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Let's go to the comments and see what you guys felt about that episode. Patrick Mason wrote some funny things, and then he wrote, Patrick Mason wrote, you couldn't be more right about planning ahead. The most important thing here is, when you are in mourning, the funeral director will sell you up, will upsell you, he wrote, will upsell you because you're weak and you're not thinking clearly and you will spend unnecessary monies. That is true. That could possibly happen. That's why you call your funeral home and you pre-plan, you pre-need. And right now, I don't think my father even has that. And I'm not going to be in charge of that because I don't have power of attorney. So I'm going to leave that to my sister. Let her do the pre-need. I'm not even going to ask if he's doing it. I'm not going to ask if she's doing it. But it does scare me. Folks, I want you to know this. 56 years old, 57 in a couple of days, in about a week. I'm trying to live my life as healthy as possible. I'm trying to live my life as clear-minded, as loving, and as present and attentive in all the positive things in life I can do. And it just really eats at my craw. It almost negates everything I'm doing positively. Listen to that, what I just said. It almost negates everything I'm doing positively with my life because my father, as far as I know, doesn't have a pre-need deal with the funeral home. I don't know who's going to pay for it. I don't know. I don't know if my sister's doing anything, but she's got power of attorney. So that was made clear to me. So if it was me, it would have already been done. Already been done. And I would have had peace of mind. And I would have called my sister and I would have said, hey, listen, Dad's taken care of. It's all been paid for. It's all been allocated. It's all laid out. So when the phone call gets made to me, or well, it's going to be made to her because she's the power of attorney now, then she doesn't have to worry about the funeral home. But I can guarantee you this, folks, that if the pre-need isn't taken care of between now and then, it's going to come to me. She's going to ask me to do it again, just like I did it for my mom. Because her stomach is going to be in knots and she's not going to be able to handle it. So I'm going to have to make last-minute arrangements. That is negating all the positives in my life I'm making. I kid you not. I could barely move forward. Oh, I got to end this episode. Wow, that wasn't really a lot of shows. All right, guys, I'll do another show tomorrow or the next day. Hey, I really appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to comment, click like, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Thanks, guys. Wow. That went really fast. Wow. All right, guys. Thanks, Hal. Thank you for listening to this episode of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Goodbye, good day, good night, good luck, good riddance, good rats, Godspeed, and great skills. Take care. Great